Hello, friends. Let's jump into this video of RFK Jr. at his confirmation hearing being questioned by Senator Ron Johnson.
Welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your decades-long advocacy for a clean environment, for children's health. I can't say as I'm surprised by the hostility on the other side. I'm highly disappointed in it. I don't know if you remember when you called me up and you were contemplating setting your political differences aside, joining forces with President Trump on an area of agreement, addressing chronic illness, trying to find the root cause of all these problems facing this nation. My first response was, Bobby, this is an answer to my prayers.
And you know what? I felt the same way. I have respected RFK Jr. for a long time, not saying I agree with him on everything, but I definitely agree with him on his position about health and welfare of America, and especially our children. And I was elated. I was over the moon when he decided to join forces with Trump and his staff across the political aisle, setting aside differences to come together on common ground and make America healthy again. I was overjoyed. And so let's see what can become of this.
We need to get to the answers of this, but even more, we need to heal and unify this divided nation.
Absolutely. We do need to heal and unify this divided nation. Agreed. And I think it has to start with us, by the way, parenthesis. It's not all on them. It can't be top down. It has to start at the grassroots level. You know, do we know our neighbors? Do we care about our neighbors? Are we volunteering to make our community a better place? Right? Are we having conversations with people that may disagree with us? That's okay. Let's have a conversation. Let's respect that person as an individual, adult with their own position and understanding and viewpoint and perspective. And let's value it and let's dialogue. We don't have to agree, but we can dialogue. We can always respect each other. And we can always learn something from each other. So I like that idea, Ron. Keep going, brother.
I'm not necessarily the most optimistic guy because we've got enormous challenges facing this nation. But I thought, wow, here's somebody from the left, somebody I don't agree with on many issues politically, coming together with President Trump and focusing on an area of agreement, something that the American people desperately want. Finding out the answers. What has caused autism? What is causing chronic illness? Ms. Kennedy, I think I've come to know what's in your heart. I think I know the personal and political price you've paid for this decision.
Absolutely. And if you're not aware, folks, he has paid a great personal and political price. He's been estranged from much of his family. He's had former friends cut him off, political colleagues cut him off. He's been quite discredited and marginalized as best they could because they don't support his current movement towards working with the people on the other side of the aisle, and they don't respect a lot of his opinions that are questioning traditional medical dogmas and whether certain policies of the federal government are in fact enabling or discrediting and harming people's health. So he's borne a great professional and personal cost, as have I in my own small way. So I can resonate with this. I understand, and it's one of the things that makes me respect him so much.
I want to say publicly, I thank you for that. I truly appreciate what you're doing here. Can't we come together as a nation and do this? Can we do? Aren't you getting tired of this? I'm getting tired of this.
Yes, we can come together as a nation and do this. We should, we must. And we must get to the point where we say we will, right? We will take back our healthcare system and make it better. In fact, maybe overturn it completely, because let's be honest, folks, we all realize we have a terrible healthcare system. We don't really have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system, right? We have a system in which you get sick, you have minimal time with a physician, you have to wait a long time. And if you do, the interventions that are proposed are typically very costly and typically revolve around surgery or very strong medications. We have nothing in place as a system that is robust, that is proactive and preventative and based on education and dialogue and forethought and counseling and behavior change and encouragement, right? All of that, we need a health promotion system not a sick care system, which is currently what we have. And of course, nobody's quite satisfied with it, right? I'm sure you're not as a consumer. I know I'm not as a physician. So we need a complete overhaul of this system, and I'm hopeful that people like this can begin to lead our way.
So again, Mr. Kennedy, I need to enter in the record. These are just 11 letters of support signed by 63,000 people, thousands of doctors. From the American Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, Independent Medical Alliance, the North Carolina Physicians and Freedom Group, Governor Jeff Landry from Louisiana.
Shout out to the Independent Medical Alliance. I'm a fellow with that organization, fantastic group of individuals. And I believe my name is on that document, and proud to have it there. So absolutely.
These are Americans, nonpartisan. A lot of these people I know, because I've advocated with you. A lot of them are Democrats. They put their political differences aside. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter this in the record.
Without objection.
I also do want to, Mr. Kennedy, as long as I have you here, I've written over 70 oversight letters to the federal health agencies under the Biden administration. I've virtually gotten squat out of them. Okay, what I get is we get, for example, 50 pages of Anthony Fauci's emails redacted. Oh, by the way, the latest one was 17.
Terrible. First of all, Anthony Fauci, boo, hiss. The man created a culture of corruption and obfuscation and lack of transparency in our country that was extraordinarily costly on so many levels. But besides that, the basic problem here is that Senator Johnson's asking for some information which should be freely available from a public agency. There should be no reason this is redacted. We're not talking top secret national intelligence information. We're talking basic requests about where the money goes in the federal government health agencies, who is co-signing what patent, what agreements have been made, basic things like this about the operational integrity and efficiency of the system. And he's getting redacted documents. So that's an obstruction of justice right there in my mind.
Pages, instead of issuing a health alert on the myocarditis they knew was impacting young men early in 2021, instead of issuing an alert on the Health Alert Network, they developed 17 pages of talking points. This was given to the public under a FOIA request. They had to go to court. They've got a new way of redacting. They don't black things out. They just give you white pages. So you don't even know what they have redacted.
Ridiculous.
So again, I've issued a subpoena now to cover the information I've requested in 70 oversight letters. My question to you is, as Secretary of HHS, will you honor these requests from Congress, and will you make HHS transparent?
Yeah, my approach to HHS, as I said before, Senator, is radical transparency. Democrats and Republicans ought to be able to come in and get information that was generated at taxpayer expense, that is owned by the American taxpayer. They shouldn't get redacted documents. Public health agencies should be transparent. And if we want Americans to restore trust in the public health agencies, we need transparency. I want to say something about what you first said. When I launched my campaign, it was about uniting Americans, Democrats and Republicans. There's no issue that should unite us more than this chronic health epidemic.
Isn't that the truth? We all want to be healthy. We all want to live a life of health and wellness and vitality. This should be common ground, and we should find a way to link arms and work together on this. I absolutely agree.
No such thing as Republican children or Democratic children.
There's no such thing as Republican children or Democratic children. Love that. Great point.
These are our kids. 66% of them are damaged. I know what a healthy kid looks like because I had so many of them in my family. I didn't know anybody with a food allergy growing up, peanut allergy. Why do 5 of my kids have allergies? Why are we seeing these explosions in diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, neurological diseases, depression, all of these things that are related to toxics in the environment?
He makes a great point about childhood problems, right? When I was a child, it was rare to have a food allergy. Nowadays, as he says, kids have multiple food allergies from very early ages. They have to carry around EpiPens. They're scared. They're living in fear about what they can't eat. Their diets are diminished. This wasn't such a big deal back in the 70s and 80s when I was growing up. And I don't think it's a coincidence. The vaccine schedule exploded. For example, in the late 80s, there was immunity given. You guys can read about that. But basically, with the explosion of the vaccine schedule, also came at the same time, certainly, an explosion in neurological spectrum disorders such as autism, an explosion in autoimmune problems like food intolerances, food allergies, etc. Those things happened at the same time amongst the youth. And now, as we're looking into it further, there are mechanisms for that, meaning it does not appear just to be a correlation, it appears to be causal. We are seeing causal mechanisms for why that might be so. And not only the mushrooming of vaccines, and by the way, I'm not anti-vaccine, I'm anti-inappropriate and unnecessary and excessive vaccines. But besides vaccines, we also have a tremendous shift in the food system that's occurred over the last 20, 30 years, right? Processed foods, fast food, people eating in front of a screen, people not sitting down at the table, etc. So there's been a huge shift in the food availability for our youth as well, towards just garbage food that's frankly making them sick and decrepit.
Why can't we just agree with each other to put differences about so many issues, intractable issues aside, and say, we're going to end this? I don't think anybody is going to be able to do this like I have because of my peculiar experience, because I've litigated against these agencies. When you litigate against them, you get a PhD in corporate capture and how to unravel it. I've written 6 books about these agencies. I know a lot about them and I know how to fix it. And there's nobody who will fix it the way that I do because I'm not scared of vested interests. I don't care. I'm not.
That's the kind of guy we want up there, right? Somebody who knows the enemy inside and out. This guy's gone to court against big government and big corporate interests and won. He started off as an environmental litigator, if you're familiar with the background, and then moved into children's health and wellness. But he absolutely does have more experience and more acumen, I would say, than anybody I've seen in a long time in this arena.
Here because I want a position or a job. I have a very good life and a happy family. This is something I don't need. I want to do this because we're going to fix it. And the other thing is,
isn't that great to hear? This is something I don't need, he said. And that's exactly, again, the kind of person I want to see in there. I don't want to see a career politician. I don't want to see some sycophantic striver, somebody looking to just self-promote and self-propagate. I want to see someone who doesn't need this job, but wants to be there out of a sense of duty and contributing to his country. And that's what we're seeing here. So I'm thrilled, people. I'm literally praying that this confirmation will move forward. We'll see how this all goes. But I'm believing for a breakthrough and a dawn of new health and wellness across our country. So to be continued, we'll look forward to that.